Good evening, children.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, children.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, children. Good evening. Children, last class, I think there was one answer which is to be discussed. I'll come back to that maybe in the next class. And yes, tomorrow you will have a test, children, on linear equations. There is one. Yes, there. I think one question paper which is based on multiple choice questions, and the other where you have the subjective type. Where you have sub questions. There is one main question under which you have many sub questions. So tomorrow during the class, it will be during the class. So you don't have to join the online meeting. I'll schedule the exam, but it will be open only during the class tomorrow. That is from 11:15 to 11:30 to 1:15. So maybe I'll give you some half an hour. In all, I'll give you 45 minutes grace time. So that will be 2.5 hours. So maybe I'll keep it open from 11:30 to say 1:30 or 2. So you have to complete the exam in that time. It will not be available after that, which means you will have to, like you join the class, you'll have to start the exam at 11:30, finish both the papers. So tomorrow we'll not have an online session, but during that time you will be taking up 2 tests on linear equations. And Tarun, since you're new to the classroom, just let me know if you can take up the test. Otherwise, maybe later I can schedule the same for you later once you're ready with the portions. Tarun, did you join us at the beginning of linear equations? I'm not sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you got your credentials, Tarun?
Ma'am?
Have you got your credentials for the exam portal?
No, ma'am, I did not get.
You haven't, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry for the delay. I'll share it with you today.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
All later.
Yes, ma'am.
Children, if you have a graph notebook, you can use your graph notebook. Else, you can just use your, your regular notebook and do the marking with a scale. Yes, so let's see how to represent data graphically. We'll see how to represent data graphically. So here you see a table showing the first column, which reads academic year, the second column, number of students. When we say 1996 to 1997, that does not represent a class interval. Do not mistake that to be a class interval. 1996 to 1997 does not represent a class interval. All right, so that's just a period of time. That's just a period of time. So not to be mistaken for class intervals. Now we need to represent the data given using a bar graph. So you can see here, since the numbers are, you're not new to bar graphs. I'm sure you've seen it in standard 6, 7, 8, not sure. 8, I don't know, but maybe 6 or 7. Well, it's not new to you, bar graphs. So you can see that we take this, the first column academic year along the x-axis and number of students along the y-axis. You can see the graph. Yeah. And you know that the spacing, the graphs, the two rectangles, there should be equal spacing between any two consecutive rectangles. Each bar is a rectangle. The spacing, so between the y-axis and this rectangle, supposing this space is 1 centimeter, this is 1 centimeter, you must maintain that distance of 1 centimeter between any two consecutive rectangles. So if this is 1 centimeter, the distance between these two rectangles 1 centimeter, between these two 1 centimeter, equal spacing. The spacing must be equal. That is along the x-axis. And on the along the y-axis, you see the numbers here, number of students. So depending on the values you have here, you decide the scale on the y-axis. So here you can see it's skip counted in 25, 25, 50, 75. You can also take 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So that's completely your choice. Don't make the bars. So what is important is don't make the bars very tall. They should not be, they should be neither very tall nor very short. Again, it depends on how much the data is scattered. Supposing there is 1 year with the value 10 and there's another year with the value say 1500. Then yes, then in that case, because the data is scattered, you know, your bar, your one of your bars might look very tall. Because it's, or one of the bars may look very small when the data is scattered. So what should I say? You can see the academic years along the x-axis here. And on the y-axis, the scale is decided according to the values here. The smallest value is 50. The biggest value is 200. You can make 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200. 1 centimeter is equal to 20 units. And then the height of the bar. So the height of the bar against the year 1996 to 97 should be 50. It should be 50 units tall. So like this, 50. The next one is 75. So the next one is 75. Just please take down the question and draw the bar graph.
Ma'am, the graph note.
Yes, if you have one. Graph note if you have one. If you don't have, then you have to use a scale and do the marking in your tuition notebook. Is it over, children?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let me wait for 2 more minutes. See, finish it. Yes, it's time. See the next one. So make sure that the height of here, since on the y-axis 1 centimeter is 25 units, 1 centimeter is 25 units. It's very easy to make the rectangles or the bars, because you have exactly these values. This is 50 units tall. The next one is 75. So you have that marking 75 directly. So this one is 75 units tall, 125. You have the marking directly. So it's easy. When you choose a scale like this, it's easy to determine the height of the rectangles or the bars. What is the scale you would take along the y-axis?
Ma'am, 50 units.
50 units. Okay, 50 will be fine. The scale along the y-axis, 50 units. You can see the question and answer here. Maybe you can take a screenshot of this one and complete it later. Leave some place in your book. So question, yes.
Ma'am, can you just show me the first one question 1 minute, please?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, children. This is question number 3. Read the bar graph and answer the questions. So the bar graph is given to you. Read the bar graph and answer the questions. Unlike the first and second one, where you were given some information in the form of a table. In 1 and 2, you were given some information in the form of a table and you had to prepare the bar graph. You had to prepare the bar graph. Here, read the bar graph and answer the questions. Yes, I'll give you some time. Look at the bar graph. And let's answer the questions one by one. So what is the information given by the bar graph? Is the first question.
The shoe size, ma'am. Shoe size.
Yeah. So the bar graph shows information regarding the
Shoe size, ma'am.
shoe
Shoe size.
sizes worn by different students. All right. What are the different numbers of the shoe? Okay, answer the second question, children.
Ma'am, shoe numbers from 4 to 10.
Now, for the first one, can we be more? No, I was just waiting for the others also to read. And somebody else?
Ma'am, me?
Just a minute, children. I think there's somebody at the door. Just a minute. Yes, children. The first one, more in detail. The information provided by the bar graph.
The size of shoe weared by students in a classroom.
More specific. I'm just expecting something else. More specific. Okay, let me show you the earlier questions.
Number of students who wear size number 4 to size number 10 shoe size.
Is it possible to find the total number of students represented here?
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
possible? Yeah,
Yes.
find the total number of
Yes,
students.
ma'am.
Yes.
5
Yes, sir.
All
Ma'am,
of you try to find.
is between 300 and 400, ma'am.
How many of them wear shoe number for size 4?
Ma'am, 500, ma'am.
How many wear
500.
size 5?
350, ma'am.
350, ma'am.
400.
So here the assumption is if it is between two numbers, just take the mid of that mid value of the two numbers.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you feel the height of the bar is between two numbers, between two, you have to just take it as 350. So now this is between 300 and 400, the second one. So take this 350. Next one.
400, ma'am.
400, ma'am.
Shoe number 7. Shoe number 7.
800, ma'am.
800. Ma'am, it is 750, ma'am.
Yeah, it's
Ma'am,
between,
it looks like 750,
ma'am.
yeah. So take the 750 between 700 and 800. So 750. The next one, 8. Shoe number 8.
500, ma'am.
500, ma'am.
Shoe number 9. Yeah, shoe number 9.
100, ma'am. 100, ma'am.
100, ma'am.
Shoe number 10.
400, ma'am.
400, ma'am.
450, ma'am.
Now it's on
No,
the
ma'am,
screen.
400.
Yeah, it's 400. Now it's on the screen. When it's on the paper, it's easy. You can just use your scale and make out. So don't worry. It is 400. The last one is 400. Now total up all these numbers and tell me the total number of students.
Ma'am, 3000.
3,000. Yes. So the
3,000.
bar graph. Yes. So the bar graph represents the number of students, because on the y-axis we have number of students, right? So the bar graph represents the number of students wearing shoes of different sizes out of a total of 3,000 students. Totally, there are 3,000 students. And the bar graph represents the number of students wearing different shoe sizes out of a total of 3,000 students. You can just include that total 3,000. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, the second question, I'll show you the answers. We'll discuss and then show you the answers. So what are the different numbers of the shoe worn by the students? So that's obvious, no? So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, what is the number of students wearing shoe number 6?
400, ma'am.
400, ma'am.
400.
Okay, the next one. Which shoes worn by maximum number of students?
Ma'am,
Number
shoe
7,
number
ma'am.
750, ma'am.
Number
Yeah.
750
So,
students.
yeah, which shoe number is worn maximum? Which shoe number is worn by maximum number of students?
Shoe number 7, ma'am. 7.
Shoe number 7.
7, ma'am.
Give its number.
750, ma'am.
750.
750.
Yeah. With next one, which shoe number is worn by the minimum number of students?
9, ma'am.
Shoe number 9, ma'am.
Shoe number 9.
9, ma'am.
And how many students?
It's 100.
100
100,
students, ma'am.
100 students. And is the last statement true or false? The number of students
Ma'am,
wearing
true,
shoe
ma'am.
is less than 3 times the number of students wearing shoe number 9.
Yes, ma'am.
The number of students wearing shoe number 10 is less than 3 times the number of students wearing shoe number 9. All of you?
Ma'am, true, ma'am.
How many are wearing
False.
shoe number 9?
Ma'am, 100,
100
ma'am.
students,
100,
ma'am.
ma'am.
And shoe
Here,
number 10?
400,
400,
ma'am.
ma'am.
200, ma'am.
400.
So is a statement the number of students wearing shoe number 10 is less than
False.
3 times, sir.
No, ma'am.
It's
False.
False, ma'am.
which is less?
Ma'am, shoe number 9, ma'am.
Shoe number 9 is less. So the number of students wearing shoe, the statement is the number of students wearing shoe number 10. Shoe number 10 is less. We don't even have to read ahead. The number of students wearing shoe number 10 is less than. Shoe number 10 is less than 9. No. The number of students wearing shoe number 10 is less than 3 times the number of students wearing shoe number 9. 10 is not less than 9 first. 10 is more than 9. So the given statement is false. Whether it is 3 times, 2 times, whatever it is, the word less makes it false. The number of shoe number 10 less than shoe number 9. Shoe number 10 less than shoe number 9. There itself it's false. Since you all know the answer, maybe you can just take a screenshot. These are simple for you. If you want, you can complete it. I'm not saying you don't have to write. Just take a picture. Yes, read this one. So the following bar graph shows the number of vehicles passing through a road crossing in Delhi in different time intervals on a particular day. So there itself we have the answer for what does the bar graph represent. There itself we have the answer for what does the bar graph represent. It shows it's there itself. It shows the number of vehicles passing through a road crossing in Delhi, but in different time intervals on a particular day. Also give the maximum number of vehicles. What is the maximum number of vehicles?
400.
400.
400. When is the hourly traffic maximum? When is the hourly traffic maximum? When is the traffic maximum?
9 to 10 hours, ma'am.
Yeah, the traffic is maximum when there are more vehicles on the road. Why on the y-axis we have the number of vehicles. So when do you say it's very meaning when is there a lot of traffic? When do you say there's a lot of traffic? When there are many vehicles on the road. So as per this bar graph, the hourly because 8 to 9, 1 hour, 9 to 10, 1 hour, 10 to 11, 1 hour, 11 to 12, 1 hour, hourly traffic. So when is the hourly traffic maximum? 9 to 10 in the morning. 9 to 10 hours. So between 9 and 10 in the morning, the traffic on the road is maximum. Also give the minimum number of vehicles.
100.
100.
Okay, minimum number of vehicles. When are there? At what time is the number of vehicles minimum on the road?
13 to 14 hours.
Afternoon 1 to 2. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Afternoon 1 to 2. Yeah, so the number of vehicles are minimum in the afternoon between 1 and 2. Okay, so let me come from the second one. When is the hourly traffic maximum? 9 to 10. Minimum number of vehicles? 100. When is the hourly traffic minimum? When is it minimum?
13 to 14 hours.
13 to 14 hours. 13 to 14 hours. So when you have to give the number, in question number 2, give the minimum number of vehicles. Give the minimum number of vehicles. So minimum number of vehicles will be about the number of vehicles, not the time, 100. And when is the hourly traffic minimum? 13 to 14 hours. What is the total number of vehicles passing through a crossing during a particular day?
2,300.
Total number of vehicles passing through a crossing during a particular day, the entire day. You should add all the values, right?
Yes, ma'am. 2,300.
2,300, ma'am.
Just tell me what the numbers, 8 to 9.
Ma'am, 300, ma'am.
Then
300, ma'am.
after that,
400,
9 to
ma'am.
10.
9 to 10,
400.
400. 10 to 11,
250, ma'am.
250. 11 to 12,
250, ma'am.
12 to 150, ma'am. 1 to 2, 100, ma'am. 2 to 3, 200, ma'am. 3 to 4, 300. 4 to 5, it's 350, ma'am.
So let's talk about the last two numbers, okay? The last two numbers. The last two bars, where are they? How tall are they? The last two bars?
300 and 350, ma'am.
Let's talk about the bar which stands against 15 to 16 hours. 15 to 16 hours. How tall is it? Is it 300 or 350?
300, ma'am.
100, ma'am.
300, ma'am.
Okay, and the last one?
350, ma'am.
350, ma'am.
So it's not between 350 and 400, right?
Yes, ma'am. 350, ma'am.
Okay, so what's the total? Somebody's mic is enabled. Kindly disable your mic. Somebody's mic is enabled. Kindly disable your mic. Children, make sure you're not sitting with the rest of the members in the family. If you think there is noise around you, do not unmute and say, do not participate in the class. If you're sitting in a quiet place where the meeting will not be disturbed, you can unmute and talk. If for some reasons you have to sit with your family members and there is noise around you, I don't have to give these basic, instructions. So if you feel there are people around you talking and it's going to disturb the class, if you unmute yourself and talk, do not unmute. Just listen to the class. Don't unmute to participate. No, I don't know. See, I'm just seeing the screen. I don't know from, whom the noise came from. I don't know. I'm not sure, but this is just for the class. Yeah. All right. So the total children, you said 2,300, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
2,300. Okay, fine. So I think these numbers in the book are incorrect. Even I checked now. 300 and this is 300. This should be 300 and this should be 350.
350, ma'am.
350. Yeah, that's okay. Fine. So maybe some printing error. So this is 300 and this is 350. So that
Yes,
so the total reduces by 50. So the total is 2,300. All right. Read the following bar graph and answer the questions. So along the x-axis, we have different states. Y-axis, coal production in million tons. How much is 1 ton?
100 kgs, ma'am.
1000 kgs, ma'am.
1,000 kgs.
1000 kgs.
1 ton is equal to 1,000 kgs. And what about 1 million? How many zeros? 1 followed by how many zeros?
6 zeros, ma'am.
What are the place values in the international system? Ones, tens, hundreds.
1000, 10,000, 100,000, million, ma'am.
Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million.
Million, ma'am.
So million meaning 1 followed by 6 zeros.
Yes, ma'am.
1 followed by 6 zeros. Million tons. So another 3 more zeros because 1 ton is 1,000 kgs. In million tons, And not in tons, in million tons.
10 kgs, ma'am.
So it is 1 ton is 1000 kgs and 1 million is 1 followed by 6 zeros. So the bar graph shows the production of coal in different states in million tons. So 70 million tons, 70 million tons, 80 million tons, 10 million tons. So 10 million into 1000, so many kgs. When you read, supposing a bar is 80 units high or 80 units tall, 80 is 80 million tons, 80 million tons. So 80 millions tons. So when you multiply, so 80 million multiplied by 1000, so many kgs, so many kilograms. So what information is given by this bar graph?
Coal production in different states.
Number of coal produced in different states.
In million tons, ma'am.
Okay, so the quantity or the production of coal in million tons in the various states. What are the time periods there? 1992 to 93, 93 to 94. So it is only for these 2 years. So when you take a Bihar, in Bihar, 1990, the production of coal in the year 92 to 93 and 93 to 94. So 2 consecutive years. In 2 consecutive years, that is 92 to 93, 93 to 94. So the bar graph shows the production of coal in different states in 2 consecutive years. When you take up Uttar Pradesh, you can see how much, when you take up Uttar Pradesh, you can see the quantity of coal produced in the year 92 to 93 and the quantity of coal produced in the year 93 to 94. So the bar graph shows the production of coal or the quantity of coal produced in different states of India in 2 consecutive years, 92 to 93, 93 to 94. All right. Which 2 states have the same production in 93, 94?
Bihar and Madhya Pradesh.
Bihar and Madhya Pradesh.
Which 2 states have the same production in the year 93, 94? In the year 93, 94, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. Okay, they are of the same height?
Yes, ma'am. 80.
In both the years, right? In 92, 93 also they stand as high as each other, right? My question is the production of coal? My question is the production of coal in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh same in the year 92, 93, 92 to 93? Is it the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll come again with my question. Is the production of coal same in the year 92 to 93 in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh? Yes, they are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And what about 93 to 94? In those 2
They
years,
are same, ma'am.
in that particular year also, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh produce the same quantity of coal. Okay. So Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. Answer for the second one, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. Third one, name the state having same production in both the years.
Uttar Pradesh, ma'am.
Uttar Pradesh. Name the state having the same production in both the years. In both the years, 92, 93, 93, 94. So Uttar Pradesh. How much did it produce?
Ma'am, 10 ma'am.
10 tons, ma'am.
10
10
10
million
tons.
tons. Each year it produced 10 million tons. Each year it produced 10 million tons. Which state has minimum production?
Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh, ma'am.
Okay. Uttar Pradesh. Just in case you want to take a screenshot, you can. You have the question and the answer in the same slide. Write down this table, children, in your book.
Ma'am, homework, ma'am.
No. Represent this data in the form of a histogram. We are still to learn this, right?
Yes,
So it
ma'am.
cannot be homework. Yeah.
Homework, ma'am. Friday homework.
Write down the children. Write down the table, children, in your book. So, what is a histogram? The graphical representation of a frequency distribution. So the last few classes, we understood how to organize raw data. Ever since we started statistics, we understood how to organize raw data in the form of an ungrouped or a grouped frequency distribution accordingly, depending on the information given. When the entire data has numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeated many times, you will not go in for a grouped frequency distribution. When the raw data has, say, 100 numbers, when the raw data has 100 numbers and these numbers are either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, only these numbers are repeating. So 0 might be happening some 18 times, 1 may be happening 25 times. So only these. So you have 100 numbers in front of you. You have 100 numbers in front of you, and these numbers are either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. These are repeating. So you have 100 values. So for this, you will not go in for a grouped frequency distribution. Why should you make class intervals? You can directly write the number 0 happening so many times, frequency. 1 happens so many times, 2 happens so many times. So in the first column, you will take the value straight away, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You will not bother to make class intervals. And the second column, you might go with tally marks, or you may write the frequency straight away. So this is the case of an ungrouped frequency distribution. Ungrouped, where it does not involve class intervals. We have seen this already. But if supposing you have 50 values, 50 different values, and a value does not repeat, 50 different values you have, and the values don't repeat more than like say 5 or 6 times. You say you have 100 values. So when you have different values, when you have like you have 135, you have 200, you have many different values, then it becomes cumbersome to list the values directly. Like you listed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It becomes difficult to list those numbers. In which case you would prefer a class, you would like to condense the numbers into a class interval. You will make a class interval maybe like 100 to 110 so that you can put all the values, but if it is 100 or anything less than 110, you will put it in this class interval 100 to 110. You will condense the data into this class interval 100 to 110, and then you will have other class intervals also. So when you have different numbers, and when you think it's not easy to just list all the numbers one by one, you will like to condense the data into class intervals, which we call grouped frequency distribution. That is a frequency distribution that involves class intervals. And in grouped frequency distribution, we have two types. When the class intervals are continuous, we call it exclusive class intervals or exclusive type. When the class intervals are not continuous, discontinuous, when they are not continuous, we say that the class intervals are of inclusive type. And then you also know the concept of cumulative frequencies. So this is what we've seen so far in statistics. So we've been learning how to construct a frequency distribution. We have learned how to organize raw data in the form of a frequency distribution. Now the graphical representation of this frequency distribution is a histogram. But more specifically, a histogram is the graphical representation of a grouped frequency distribution. That is the one which involves class intervals. When you have a grouped frequency distribution, like the one which you see on the screen, is a grouped frequency distribution. It has class intervals. Now the graphical representation of this grouped frequency distribution is called a histogram. Histogram is the graphical representation of a grouped frequency distribution. That is a frequency distribution that involves class intervals. Yeah, prepare this. I'm sure there's nothing to explain in this, children. So in case you have any questions, because I don't want to disturb you when you're making the graph. Since it's pictoric, you can make out what's happening there.
We take it as 1 centimeter is equal to 2 units, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yes. As Shreya said, 1 centimeter, 2 units is fine. Yes. But just see the nature of the figure. Unlike a bar graph where there is spacing between two rectangles, here the rectangles are stuck to one another. There is no space or there is no gap between the rectangles. The rectangles or the bars are closely packed. The rectangles or the bars, as we call them, are closely packed. There is no space, there is no gap between any two consecutive rectangles, any rectangle for that matter. While in the bar graph, between two bars, between any two consecutive bars, there is equal spacing. Are we preparing the graph, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is it over, children?
Over, ma'am.
Others?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Deepika.
Okay, Deepika. All right. All right, Sangamitra.
Completed, ma'am.
All right. So what do we observe? The first class interval is 0 to 10. So you can see 0. The marking along the x-axis. I'll just show. See this, children, in the form of a 7. See the 7 here. Please see my pointer. 7 like this. See, excuse me, like this. All these numbers 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. These are the numbers shown along the x-axis. See, it's like a 7, like a 7, like a 7. How do you write the number 7 like this? A tall 7 like this, a tall 7 like this. So like that, 0, 10, 20, I'm moving it again here, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. These are the numbers shown along the x-axis. On the y-axis, depending on the values, we take a suitable scale. You can even mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 22 will be very tall. So as Shreyas was saying, you can take 1 centimeter, 2 units, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Now, there should be a rectangle of height 4 units representing the class interval 0 to 10. 0 to 10, representing this class interval 0 to 10, there should be a rectangle of height 4 units. So see here 0 to 10. So see here the height 0 to 10. Can you see this rectangle? 0 to 10, 0 to 10, 0 to 10. The height of the rectangle is 4 units. 10 to 20, the height of the rectangle is 10 units. So here 10 to 20, 10 to 20, the height of this rectangle is 10 units. 20 to 30, the height of the rectangle is 16 units. 20, see this is 20, 20 to 30, 20 to 30, the height of this rectangle is 16 units. So like that, 60 to 70, 60 to 70, 60 to 70, 60 to 70, the height of this rectangle should be 8 units, 8 units. And finally, 70 to 80, the rectangle showing the class interval 70 to 80 should be 2 units tall. So 70 to 80, 70 to 80 should be 2 units tall. So like this, we have represented the frequency distribution with continuous class intervals. The class intervals must be continuous. If they are not continuous, we have to make them continuous and then represent it in the form of a histogram. So the class intervals must see first is histogram is only for a table using a table involving class intervals, and the class intervals must be continuous. So here you see that the class interval, it starts from 50 to 55. Well, we're going to mark 0. We're going to mark 0. At the intersection of the x and y axis, we're going to mark 0. After 0, I told you what are the numbers that should be shown along the x axis. The numbers that should be shown along the x axis are 50, 55. You don't have a choice of the scale along the x axis. You have to take these numbers 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. Starting from 50, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. These numbers must be shown. These numbers must be shown. So see here, 0. This break is because this is like you're counting in fives, 50, 55, 60, 65. Suddenly from 0, we are jumping to 50. What about the numbers 0, 5, 10, 50? See, when you're jumping in fives, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75. So then in the beginning, how can you directly jump from 0 to 50? For that, you show a break here. This is called a kink, K-I-N-K, kink. K-I-N-K, kink. That means we're just showing that break. That is, it's not uniform here. From 0, we are jumping to 50. Now you will say, okay, I will not jump. I'll show the markings. That will take some space on your graph, right? If you show 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Unless and against those there are no class intervals pertaining to those values. So simply you will be marking all of them. So you need only these numbers on the x-axis, 50, 55, 60, 65, and so on. But then there's a jump, there's a big leap from 0 to 50. So you show this break like this, the kink which represents that there is a break with suddenly jumping from 0 to 50. While in the earlier one, we did not show because it's uniform, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. We are counting in tens. We are counting ahead in tens. That's the only difference, children, here. Please do this one. Yes.
What is the break between 0 and 250 called?
K-I-N-K.
Okay, ma'am.
Kink.
Thank you.
Kink. Yeah, kink. K-I-N-K. Kink. Indicating a leap from the that jump from the starting to that first value, from 0 to the first value.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So the first rectangle for the class interval 50 to 55. See here, 50 to 55 should be 12 units tall. So it's all here. 50 to 55 should be 12 units tall. So see here, 50 to 55. This one, this rectangle should be 12 units tall. The next one, 55 to 60. This rectangle must be 8 units tall. The next rectangle representing 60 to 65. 60 to 65 should be 5 units tall. So between 4 and 6. Between 4 and 6. Children, we have done coordinate geometry, we have done linear equations. So I'm not telling you how to mark, you know it well. Can we go to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, others? Now look at this frequency distribution and tell me if it is like the others we've come across earlier, or is there something new, something different in this table?
Means, ma'am. Data by means.
Sorry, data by? Oh, the word by means is new, you're trying to say?
Yes, ma'am. In the starting, they have the 5, ma'am. And in the last, they have class intervals of 10, ma'am.
Yeah, correct, Hitesh. You've correctly identified. Yes, the class intervals are not of uniform size. 10 to 15, size is 5. Are the class intervals continuous?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the class intervals are continuous. There is no break. 10 to 15, 15 to 20. You pick up from where you stopped. You pick up from where you stopped. 10 to 15. You stop at 15. You pick up from there. 15 to 20. You stopped at 20. You're picking up from there. 20 to 25. 25 to 30. 30 to 40. 40 to 80. 60. 60 to 80. The class intervals are definitely continuous.
Ma'am,
There
it
is no
must be
gap.
to 70 only, no, ma'am.
So the class intervals are continuous. But the thing is, the class size is not uniform. What's the size of the class interval 10 to 15?
5,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
5.
5. What's the size of the class interval 30 to 40?
Ma'am,
10, ma'am.
10, ma'am.
10. What about 60 to 80?
20, ma'am.
20.
20, ma'am.
20. So we see that unlike the earlier one, see here, what is the class size?
5, ma'am.
5, ma'am.
5. The class size is 5. 50 to 55, 55 to 60. The class size is uniform. The class size is uniform. It's the same everywhere. So when is the data ready? When sometimes you have to make some modifications in the table before you put up the histogram. Sometimes we need to make some modification with the table before you put up the histogram. Now, when is the table ready to make the histogram? When the class intervals are continuous. So these are the things. The class intervals must be continuous. Okay. Now what you see is a different question, which you've already done. This one. So the class intervals are continuous. Then the class size is the same. It's uniform. It's the same everywhere. So if the class intervals are continuous and the size is the same, then it's ready. The data is ready to be put in the form of a histogram. No changes has to be made. Only these two questions you should answer, or these two things you must check. Are the class intervals continuous? Oh yes, they are continuous. Do they have the same size? Yes, everywhere the size is 5. So if you can answer these two questions like this, then you can the table is ready to be used to prepare a histogram. Kink is because, now don't say the kink is because we are jumping from 0 to 50 and then we are maintaining 5 difference. After 50 it is 55, 60, 65. You're taking a big jump and then you're jumping in 5s. So to show that big jump, you're using the kink. I'm pausing regularly so that you can see something before I start to talk. So here, answer the questions. Are the class intervals continuous, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they have the same size? Is the size uniform?
No, ma'am.
No.
Yeah, then we have to do some modification. It's continuous. It's continuous, but the size is not the same. Then you have to do some modification before you make the histogram. So see here, ignore this formula. I'll tell you what this formula is, but we'll do it in a different way. Now, you can see the question here. The solution starts here like this. This is the formula. I'll tell you what this formula is. Now, you need to prepare this frequency distribution with new frequencies. That is, why is this done? Why do we find new frequencies? That's because the size is not uniform. The class size is not uniform. It's 5, then somewhere it is 10, somewhere it's 20. So which is the minimum class size? Which is the
5,
minimum
ma'am.
class size?
5.
5. Minimum class size is 5. That will be the children. Actually, at the end of it, you will understand. So please listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. Write down wherever you have to write down something. We have 3 different sizes, 5, 10 and 20. The smallest of these 3 is 5. So what we do is we find adjusted frequencies for all the class intervals which do not have size 5. If the size is 5, the frequency will come as it is. If the size is not 5, we'll be writing a new frequency. We have 3 different sizes, 5, 10 and 20. If the size of the class interval is 5, then that frequency will come as it is. If the size is not 5, it's something other than 5, then we'll find the adjusted frequency. Adjusted frequency meaning the frequency proportional to that class size. Okay, all of you write in your book. New frequency by old frequency. New frequency by old frequency is equal to new class size by old class size. See, just for us to understand. Just for us to understand. Then I'll tell you what this is the formula which will be used in school also. I'll explain what the formula is. Let's understand it like this. I said new frequency by old frequency. You can say new frequency by given frequency or old frequency. Write old, it's okay. New frequency by old frequency is equal to, what have you written, is equal to?
New class size by old class size.
Good, Hitesh. New class size by old class size. Now let's just take up the class interval 40 to 60. I hope all of you are ready with the formula. We are finding adjusted frequencies because though the class intervals are continuous, the size is not the same everywhere. The size is 5, the size is 10, the size is 20. It's not uniform, which is why we find at the adjusted frequencies. I said new frequency by old frequency is equal to new size. No, I'll be using different words. That's why I'm asking you. Is equal to what? New class size by
Old class size.
Old class size, ma'am.
Let's now apply this for the class interval 40 to 60. Okay, new frequency is what we have to find. So just write F there. F by, what is the old frequency?
12, ma'am.
12, ma'am.
The old frequency meaning the given frequency. Old meaning whatever is given. So let the new frequency be F. Let the new frequency be F. So F by old frequency is 12 is equal to, what is the new size you want? You want everybody to have this minimum class size, which is 5. Which is 5. So new size is the, see, we have 3 different sizes, 5, 10 and 20. The new size will be the minimum size. Which is the minimum size? 5. So 5 by, what is the old size meaning? What is the size of that class interval? You want to have size 5, but what is the size of that class interval?
20, ma'am.
20. So now work this. Work this and tell me what is F. Don't you get F?
Ma'am.
Yeah, don't you get 5 by 20 is F is equal to 5 by 20 into 12? That's what you see on the screen also. That's what you see here. 5 by 20.
3, ma'am.
5 by 20 into 12. Yeah. So children, you can remember like this. It's about the class size and the frequency. It is about the class size and the frequency. It's about the class size and the frequency. You can write anyways. You can, it's not that you should write new frequency in the numerator. New by old is equal to new by old, or old by new is equal to old by new. Use it however you want. It's a ratio. So I just started with the new frequency. So new frequency by old frequency is equal to new class size by old class size or original class size. So the new frequency is what we want to find, f divided by the old frequency. That is the frequency given to us, 12, is equal to the new size. We wish to have the smallest size, 5, by the original size. What's the size? 20. When you work this, you find f is 3. So like this, you should find the adjusted frequencies for all the other class intervals. See, if the class size is 5 already, the same frequency will come. Even if you calculate, you will get the same frequency. Are we all listening, children? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. If the class size is already 5, then you will get the same frequency. But just for the sake of a formality, it is calculated. The same frequency will come because the class size is already 5, so you'll get the same frequency. If the class size is not 5, you'll get a different frequency. Now see the formula here. They call the new frequency. Please listen to me. Don't start working. Listen to me. The formula they've used here is adjusted frequency. That is the new frequency is equal to minimum class size. Minimum class size is that required class size. We wanted 5, no, that minimum class size by the actual class size into the frequency of that class. No, well, let's understand using this, children. What was 5? Children, let's understand using this. What was 5, children? The minimum class size. What is 20? The actual class size. What is 12? What is 12? The frequency of that class. That's what it is. See, you can do. So if you want to remember this formula, you can substitute in this and do it. Or you can do the calculation the way I gave you a proportion, right? For everything, you can use it and give the answer here. Anyways, it's fine. So adjusted frequency or the new frequency is equal to minimum class size by original class size into frequency of the class. Okay, so find the frequencies, the new frequencies. When do we find these? When the class size is different. Let's see the graph, children. So here, maybe in the print, the distance looks, you know, the spacing, you know, 0 to 10, then 10 to 20. The space here looks too large. Ignore the printing there. Now, what are the values you need to show along the x-axis? What are the values you need to show along the x-axis? As I told you, children, please remember 10, 15. No, this is important. You can calculate the frequency. This is important. You need to show these. 1 second. All right, along the x-axis, you need to show, I told you the 7, right? I told you the 7. So 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 60, and 80. This is what you want to show. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 60, and 80. But children, that doesn't mean that you can take it like 10 here, 15 here, 20 here. Please look at the screen. Please look at the screen. So that doesn't mean you can take 10 here, but after 10, you should leave 1 centimeter and then show 20. That 15 is shown between them. On the x-axis, at every 1 centimeter, you will show 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on. See here, children, this is that first centimeter, 10. This is that second centimeter, 20. Between 10 and 20, they have marked 15. You cannot take the first centimeter as 10 and the second centimeter as 15. That will not be proportional. This is 0. The first centimeter which you get is 10. Then after that, that second centimeter is 20. Between 10 and 20, that middlemost line, you should mark 15. Then, so 20 is the second centimeter. After that, the third centimeter. The third centimeter is 30. The third centimeter is 30. Between 20 and 30, that middlemost line is 25. Then 40 will come, the fourth line will be 40. Then the fifth line, 50 is not marked. If there is 50 here, it's not marked because we don't need it, that's all. 40, after 40, the next centimeter is 50. After that, the next centimeter is 60. Then after 60, the next centimeter is 70, which is not marked here, that's all. 70 is here. Then after that is 80. Here what you see is they have shown only these values. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 60, 80. Only these numbers. But please follow the scale properly. You cannot write only the numbers which you want. You can write the numbers which you want, but you should use the scale correctly. So first centimeter will be 10, then 20, then 30, then 40. Then there is 50 here. It's not marked. 60, then there is 70 here. It's not marked. And then 80. 50 and 70 are not marked. Their places are left empty. And then the bars must be these units tall. You can take 1, 2, 3 itself, children. You don't have to take 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 because we only have these values. You can mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or you can go with 2, 4, 6 also. Because you know exactly in the middle will be 3. Yes, I've told you everything. Let me repeat it, but complete the graph. Let me repeat all these. All right, children. So when do we find adjusted frequencies?
When the class size is not same, ma'am.
When the class?
Size is not same, ma'am.
Yeah, when the class size is not uniform, it's not the same everywhere. Then we have to find adjusted frequencies. Are the class intervals continuous in this data? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
The class intervals are continuous. Yes. The class intervals are continuous. 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25. They are continuous. Two things important to make a histogram. One is class intervals must be continuous. There should be no break. And the size must be the same everywhere. If the size is not the same, you have to find the adjusted frequencies. And what is that formula we said for adjust, not what the one which you see on the screen? Okay, so what are the, one second children, what are the different sizes you see here in this distribution?
5, 10, 20, ma'am.
5, 10, and
5,
20. Yeah, 10 to 15 is 5. Yeah, 30 to 40, 10, and then you have 60 to 80, 20. Which is the minimum class size?
5, ma'am.
5. That is the preferred class. That
5,
is the
ma'am.
preferred class size. Yeah, 5 is the preferred class size. The preferred class size is the smallest one, 5. So what we are going to do is, we are going to find the frequencies. We are going to find new frequencies corresponding to class size 5. Whatever is the smallest class size, that's what we prefer. And we are going to find the frequencies pertaining to the new class size 5. If the class size is already 5, you will get the same frequency. Even if you use the formula, you will get the same frequency. So what we wrote is, what did we write, children?
New frequency by old frequency is equal to new class size by old class size.
Yeah, that is just for us to understand. Okay, those words are just, we've used simple words like that so that we understand how it works. New frequency by old frequency. Now, if the teacher asks you in the class, please don't say that. This is just for us to understand. She might even, I don't know how she'll take it. She might even say, what is this new old? This is just for us to feel comfortable with what we are doing. New frequency is the new adjusted frequency. By old frequency is the given frequency in the table, the given frequency is equal to new class sizes, that preferred one, which we prefer 5, by old class size is the actual class size. So these are the meanings. Just so that it rhymes, you know, we write new by old is equal to new by old. New frequency by old frequency is equal to new class size by old class size, which is exactly this formula. Adjusted frequency or the new frequency is the minimum class size, that is the new class size, by the original class size into the frequency of that class. That is the old frequency. Okay, so we find the adjusted frequencies like this. Now, oh, I don't know if I mentioned, I think I forgot. So now, children, you have to prepare the histogram with the class intervals and the new frequencies. I did not mention that, I'm sorry. So you have to prepare the histogram with the class intervals and the new frequencies. I just assumed that I forgot to say, actually, I just left you there. I hope you all took the new frequencies, right? That's why we found it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
neglect the original frequencies. That's why we found the new ones. That is why we have found the new ones. Now you have to take up these class intervals and the new frequencies, the adjusted frequencies. And the rectangles must be this tall, 7, 9, 8, these new numbers. Forget the original numbers. This frequency, forget this. Forget the second column, the third column we have to take. And I told you, children, 10 in the first centimeter, 20 in the second centimeter, 30 in the third centimeter, 40 in the fourth centimeter, 5th centimeter is 50, it is not marked. Then the 6th centimeter is 60, the 7th centimeter is not marked 70, this is 80. Between 10 and 20, they have marked 15. Between 20 and 30, they have marked 25. what you see here, you can also see. Now you will ask, should we not show, is it okay? Is it wrong if I show 50? It's not wrong. You can show 50. It's not wrong if you show 70. You can show. But since only these numbers are needed, only those are shown. That's all. So now you know, when you take up 30 to 40, it should be 6 units tall. 30 to 40. 30 to 40 must be 6 units tall. Rectangle, because it's a histogram, the rectangles are closely packed. The height of the rectangle, the height of each rectangle is the frequency pertaining to that class interval. Isn't it simple, children? To understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so a histogram is a graphical representation. A histogram is a graphical representation of a grouped frequency distribution. The frequency distribution must have class intervals. A histogram is a graphical representation of a grouped frequency distribution. And before you make the histogram, you must make sure that the class intervals are continuous. And also the class size is the same everywhere. If the class size is not the same, we need to find the adjusted frequencies and use these new frequencies to prepare the histogram. Take this as homework, children. Take a screenshot. Prepare the histogram for this frequency distribution.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, children. So that's it for today's session. If you have any questions, you can stay back, else you may leave the meeting. Thank you, children.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, children.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good night.
Ma'am.